Hey guys, it's been a while since I've done a flute video, but I actually have something kind of cool to run over, which is, in fact, a new flute. I just got this yesterday, in fact. It's made by Windward of Nova Scotia. A keyless flute, obviously. The reason I got it was because I needed a backup. The one that I've been playing, the McGee, the 6-key flute that I have, that I've done in the other videos, is the only flute that I've got. So if anything happened to it, I'd be kind of in a rough spot. So I wanted to make sure I had some sort of a backup. And this one came available, and I figured I'd give it a shot because I've read good things about the folks at Windward. Never played one before, but I was able to buy this through the Irish Flute Store, irishflutestore.com, and it's fantastic. It's very cool. And just kind of run over a couple of quick things about it that are a little bit different from really every other flute that I played. Specifically, this one is Mapani. That in itself is not terribly unusual these days. There's a lot more flutes that are made out of Mapani wood. I've never played one before. And you can see it's got a different color than the African blackwood that I usually play. The grain on this thing is really cool. It just looks beautiful. The other thing that Windward does that's a little bit different is the rings are flush with the wood. Typically on a wooden flute you've got the rings that stick out a bit. As I understand it from reading their website, that's a much more difficult process to get them to go like that. But it looks kind of cool. It's a different look. There's just a great deal of attention to detail on these. The end turn piece here looks really cool. There's a bit of a notch there. I don't know if you can see that. And the end cap is beautiful. They got this silver in the middle of it there. Very cool. And as far as the sound goes, I'll obviously demonstrate that in a second. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Olwells that I've played, which is kind of cool because those are tough to come by. It wouldn't replace the McGee because I need the keys more than anything, but it definitely makes me want to consider buying a fully keyed version of this and waiting the 3 years to get it because it seems like it'd be worthwhile. The tune that I'm going to play this flute on is one called Red Haired Lass, which is one that came up in a bunch of sessions in New York when I was up there a little over a month ago. I played three sessions up there, came up in every one of them, so it must be a good standard tune that's pretty common up there. It's a very simple tune, and it's one that I hadn't really heard in a while, so I thought it might make a good lesson. So like I usually do, I'll run through it kind of more up-tempo with all the ornaments and the way I would usually play it at a session, and break it down in just the basic melody. So here we go with the Red Haired Lass. Hopefully you can hear kind of how this flute sounds. And then I'll talk a bit more about it, the differences between this and the McGee flute that I have also. So that's the tune. I'm going to run through just the basic melody here so you can get that. It's a short reel, it's a single reel, so hopefully it'll be easy to pick up. So the first part starts on the bottom D. So that's kind of the first half of the A part. I'll just run that again so you get that. The second part is fairly repetitive until you get to the end. So it just finishes on that C natural. Now to go into the B part. Back around. So now ornaments-wise, there's a lot of G in this tune, especially in the first part. So I like to kind of mix it up and there's a couple of things that I like to do. So from the beginning. So really what I'm doing is, so just basically tap and a roll, or a short roll. And then you can also mix in that double tap. That's really what I'm doing. And I do the same kind of thing, that little finger bounce thing on the E as well as we go down the scale there. So slowly it's. So when you do it quickly, it just kind of gives kind of a cool accent to it. So then there's also a triplet in there. And I do that same finger bounce on the D. It just kind of helps it pop a little bit. Now, variations wise, you may have noticed that when I did it the third time I played that tune, you can just kind of sit on that D. So rather than, which is kind of how I usually play it, just kind of sitting on that D, bouncing, or G rather, bouncing between the G and the F sharp. Now the B part starts on the D. I'm just doing a crown on that. And triplet to get back to it. So again, a couple of triplets there just to round out the tune. So hopefully that'll get you a good tune to have under your fingers there. It's a good standard session tune that comes up a lot, at least in my experience anyway. Just a couple of other quick notes about this flute. I would say the embouchure is fairly less forgiving than the McGee flute that I have, which sounds kind of like a bad thing. I'm hoping, and so far, just from the past 2 days, I'm finding that it's actually a really good thing. When I first got this, I couldn't stop playing it for a couple of hours, and I was thinking, boy, it's just more responsive, and it's a bit louder, and it has more dynamic range, when really I think it's me that adjusted to it. I picked up my McGee flute and thought, well, it's not going to be as loud. It turns out it was every bit as loud, but this flute was focusing my embouchure better, because if you don't get it right, the McGee flute is more forgiving, and you can kind of get away with being a little bit less disciplined. This one is not the case, which I suppose some folks would probably say it would make it less suitable for a beginner. I don't know if I would say that. I think, if anything, it might make it a little bit easier to develop your skills a little quicker, because you just have to. It's just simply not going to work properly unless you are really paying attention. It's very easy to get that less than accurate tone. You don't have to do a lot to lose that quality sound, which means if you're practicing with it, it's just going to make you pay more attention, and that's what I found with the thing. So I really like it. I would say definitely check out Windward Flutes. They tend to keep keyless flutes in stock, which is a rarity these days on anything that's this well built, this well made. You just don't find quality instruments lying about. So these guys seem to have at least 3 or 4 on hand last time I checked their website. And if they sound like this, you're probably going to be pretty happy with it. So check them out, give them a look, and hopefully you like that tune. Any questions, comments, criticisms, by all means let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks very much, y'all. Bye-bye.